has been a few days since we recorded last. Had a lot going on. We're going to jump right into it tonight. We're going to shade Raphael on this episode, and then we can actually finally probably get into a little bit of background, but we're going to see how far we can get. Let's jump right into it. Let's get into it. We probably could stand to put a few highlights on top of Leo, unless I turned those off last time. Nope, he's just got shades. Okay, we're into Raph. We've got our drawing made. Now we're going to make him live. Speaking of which, I am currently working on a couple different projects at one time. I've got a new t-shirt design happening that I think is going to do really well if it can get approved on TeePublic. So look out for that. And maybe might have it finished next week. So again, what we're doing here is we are doing a little shading, and that is going to be our shade. We're going to keep that at 35. And Raph's going to be kind of in the dark here, so let's give him some... Oh, we definitely need to change that lasso tool color. We are going to change that to purple. Can you see that okay? Alright, good. Alright, we got that here. He's a little close in color to Mikey. I'm going to change those to 1. And so what we're doing, if you're watching it live, I am putting in some shades on Raph here, and he is going to be kind of top lit. So with that, we want to be able to see him, but we also don't want... We're going to put in some kind of invented light sources here, because this is our world, and we can do with it what we want, can't we? Yes, we can. So you're not going to be able to see that bicep. Maybe you'll see backlit just a tad. See more of that wrist guard. Again, we don't have to show too much of that. So we'll get here, 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 here. I'm kind of doing a long shade here. Hopefully none of the children wake up tonight with any emergencies, so we can get this one a little farther in than we have, since I've missed so many episodes. There's a big gap between episodes if you're watching when you're watching the recorded version. We're going to get this stuff shaded in here. Fill a lot of this in. I probably could do a technique where you put in all the shades and then just then erase out the shades to make the highlights. It's another way you can do it. You can just go in and do you can turn your picture into a completely shaded picture and then just go in and do the highlights. That should be ending there. Okay, there you go. I am going to put on blue lighters. See if that helps me keep my eyeballs from drying out. Put a few on his head. We'll give him a bit more of a roundedness to his head up there. And since his face is kind of pointed down, we're going to go ahead and put in more shading on his forehead. Maybe not that much. So I want to show a lot of the top of the eyebrow there and get some of the mask, but we can round off his nose, give him a little bit of a backlight highlight, just some. Let's see what that looks like. That's good. That's okay. You can see a lot of it. I am going to highlight less of that neck muscle. We'll just put that in there that way. There we go. Fill in more of that. We don't need to see too much of Raph's body that we don't need to see. Our main focus is going to be his face and what his hands are holding, and then his position he's in. So, kind of a good rule when you're putting in shades on a character. You want to brighten up what you want your viewer to focus on. So if you're trying to show that he has, I'm going to brighten up these teeth. If you want to show the emotion on his face, don't put his whole face in shadow and then highlight his shell. We want to see his face, so let's light the face. And we want to be able to see his hands, so we don't want to put too much of his hands in shadow. But the size, is it size? I think it's size. My size. His size, plural, are going to be brighter. So they will automatically draw the eye towards them. And you won't have to worry too much about it. Also, their masks are very good about drawing your eyes towards those the colors there. All right, so let's get in some details on Raph's bod here. I don't want to highlight too much of the hand. I want to give him some semblance of some forearm muscles. We're going to go in here and probably put a thicker line around Mikey. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Nope, nope, nope. When that, gotcha. Put in a few small highlights on here. This bug is still here. It's very gross, but I've had a bug living in my office for what seems like a couple years. You won't go away. I know it's the same bug. Anyway, so I'm highlighting parts of his chest shell by way of shading the chest shell. Now, down here, we're going to get a little darker because we don't need to define all of this. If we put in a second shade on Raph, we will darken that bottom half of his body below his torso. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fill all this in. Boom, you're shaded. So there you go. Now we've got his upper half highlighted. I think we may have to just go in here and only put a few shades in. That may have to be what we do, because that looks a little strange. That looks like he is highlighted more than he needs to be. There we go. I could probably get rid of that. That's kind of unnecessary to have in there. Let's get rid of that neck muscle. Doesn't need to be that bright. Okay, and maybe even that too. Yeah, that's a little bit better. A little bit better showing him off. Okay, so what we can do now is we can put a secondary shade, kind of like what we did here with Mikey. We got a little bit of the first shade and then a second shade. We could go with some blacks on Raph, but what we are going to do is rename this shade. Can I spell? Shade A. Okay. Then we'll go in here and make shade B. All right. Well, these blue lighters aren't doing much as far as keeping my eyeballs from drying out, but that's okay. Sorry, this neck muscle here has proven to be a bit of a nuisance. Nonsense. Nonsense, nuisance. A little in there. Let's leave that where it is for right now. I'm not going to go too zigzaggy and get confused as to where everything was and where it needs to end. So we'll get a little bit of that in there. A little bit of that. Okay, fill that path. Alright, now I'm not going to make it that dark. We're going to knock that down to 35 too. Okay, cool. That looks good. That looks good. Still, this neck muscle is going to have to go. Turtles don't need strong neck muscles showing. It just looks a little strange on here, doesn't it? So we'll minimize that. Does he need something? Maybe he just needs something down here. How about that? We'll take this, cut that. There we go. That's a little better. Yeah, it's a little better. We're going to have to go in here and do a little darker shade underneath his chin. But what this is going to help us do is put in and show the deeper recessed shades of stuff and kind of thicken. It'll give some of these rounder parts a little more depth. Stuff where you're not going to see a lot of light. And we can even make yet another layer of shade. That's already there, but that's okay. Fill that in. There we go. Got a little bit of a bump right there for his forearm muscles. A little bit on the wristband. Okay, got that. Put that on there. Good. Alright, we're going to not put any shades secondary wise on that hand. We're going to darken in just down in here. So we are going to get down this way, and we can start shading in more of Raph here. Okay. That's good. Yeah, that's good. There we go. There's some. Ooh, I gotta adjust myself. Ew. Ew. Ugh. Ugh. I have got a sciatic problem with my leg. Killing me. It's been killing me since high school. And yes, I do have a stretch that I could do, but it just started hurting last night, and I haven't gotten around to taking the time to do the stretch. So even though we've got some details here on the torso shell, I'm going to put just a couple small little deets here on the shell zone. Just a couple. I think that's okay. That's probably good. We don't want to go too hard on those. We are going to go ahead and put a bigger dent on the shades. On his legs. We don't need to show off. We're not trying to draw attention to his legs because we want to see his hands and his face more than anything. We're trying to get across a feeling that they are all paying attention to what's around them and that they are focused on what is happening. So we need to be able to show their faces in this, because if they're in the middle of an action scene, we want them to have the bent over, in attack position to getting ready to fight. Their faces and body language would be obviously saying something different if they were calm, or let's say they were sneaking up on somebody or trying to be quiet. You know, if you have them trying to be quiet, you don't want to, in a picture, show them with their, you know, mouths open and putting a little detail in the shell here. With their mouths open, you want to have them shown in a stance that's not looking like it would make a noise, right? Okay, I think that's good on shades. We could put another layer of shades here on Raph, but he's pretty dark. So what I am going to do now is do a couple little small highlights on his head here. And maybe what we can do, I'll turn this into inks, and what we can do here is we can circle around his head. Let's see if this does anything for us. Let's do a little, oh, can I see that? Oh, that's hard to see. Not that much, not that much. Not really from there. That's okay. That is a strong highlight. About like that. And then we can go up here to our stuff and see if we can just kind of brighten that up. God damn it. Just brightening up his head, just a tad. See that? Brighten his head a little bit. I'm going to put that down here on this. I'm just going to merge those. That's all I'm going to do. Just got the gradient tool out and did a little tiny highlight on his head. Just a soft light. And now we can go in here and do a little bit harsher of a light. Maybe we keep it from being a circle of light. We don't need a great circle of light. We just need a tad. Okay, let's see what this does for us. Okay, we got that. We're going to change this to an overlay. Okay. And we're going to change that to, we changed that to an overlay blend. Because that will let us, keep the black in there. So we'll change that to overlay and get a little bit of a bright highlight on his head. Maybe just a little on the eyebrow here. Just ever so much. Okay, and we can even go in here and maybe do a little, not that much, we've got to turn that down. We're just using the eraser tool to kind of give that a little bit of a curve. There you go. See? Look nice? Yeah. Just a small highlight on his head. And we're not going to do anything to his nose. Maybe a little tiny dollop on the cheek. There you go, see? And then we can go in here and slightly erase that. I've got the eraser tool at, what did I have that at? Well, the opacity was 100, but I've got the hardness down to 0, so we can have just a smidge. All right, but what we can do here is we can get a little be too bright. Maybe too bright, too much. So what we'll do is we will just put in bright spot here. Just a small highlight. Maybe accentuate the shoulder a little more. Accentuate. Can you say accentuate? Okay, a little bit more over here. Okay, build that. Gives them a little bit of a glow. Just a tad of a glow. And then we can put a little one here on the hand and on this arm, because that's a little more in the light, right? Not that much. Damn. Staring at a computer screen all day, and then I get it on here, and I'm going to switch this over to overview. No? Nothing? Alright. Got some people watching. Alright, do a little of that there. Not too much on the knucks. Open that up just a tad. There we go. That's a little bit better. So there's our lights. Okay. Not too much, not too much. Just ever so subtle. Okay. Just putting a little on there. Alright. Ever so little bits of shade, because they make those dark ends pop. That looks pretty good. We could put a little more darkness down here. We're going to do one other shades level. Not Hades. Shades. That would be Hades. Hades and Shades. Alright, this one is going to be a little more... These are going to be thinner, right? Because we want that to get dark, right? And then we can use this same level of shading for underneath his chin, maybe in a couple of these gaps, right? There you go. And we'll show a little bit of that, but we'll go over here and put this in the shade. Right? Yeah. So then that way we get all those bits put in. Make that a little thicker. There's getting there. Get a little more details shown if we put in some heavier dark colors. Just some there, and maybe just kind of put this in here like so. We can do one of those deals. We want to show that that is deeper back and that that is recessed enough. There you go. Let's see what this does for us. Oops, wrong color. Alright, that puts in black. We don't need that much. Yeah, we'll put that down at 35. This is going to have to go down here. We're going to change that to be a little bit darker just on that full stomach. That looks like it's bent over that way. There we go. That's better. Cool. Alright, I think wraps in there good enough. So now, what do we need to go to next? I think we've got all the turtles, we've got the pipe. We probably need to put a few more little outlines on the turtles, but we can do that on another episode. So if we minimize our opaque layer there, we're going to have a shredder hand in here. Let's put the water in down here. This is going to be the fun part. What I like to do is I've got this technique that I do with water, and it's going to seem confusing at first, but a lot of what the water, if you're making a dynamic water, what I've come to find out is you want to put a lot of white in there and then do a couple shades of blue. A couple different shades of blue will allow you to see what parts are moving, where something, it's kind of like if you want to do waves. I've mostly just done waves, and they're kind of crashing, which is a little more fun. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do almost stiller water that's not like ocean water, because I've done ocean water before. So this will be kind of an experiment. So let's see what we can get. We've got a pretty big canvas here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first I'm going to yawn. This water's going to go back like into blackness back here. Okay. So since it goes into, I want to have the foot soldiers in the background be, I want to have them be kind of in the dark. So what we can do is we can make this kind of flow. All right. Maybe we change this to we can keep this at, it's going to be sewer water, but we also don't want it to be confusing to where we can't tell that it's supposed to be water. All right. So let's put in it's a well-lit sewer. It's a well-lit sewer, kind of like in the video games, which makes me think we also need to expand this pipe down here, and we can kind of change how far that goes. We need it to be below here. Yeah, it's gonna have to be below there, because we want to be able, because we can see the underside of the pipe, but Mikey's foot is going to be on top of the water. Okay, so we're gonna have some water movement. So what we can do here, and this is what I like to do. This is all going to be kind of on one layer here. So let's go ahead and put this as water. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a different blue, and I'm going to change these to RGB because I like the blue colors on the RGB for this. okay? And we're going to kind of just do some zigzags to show the water, okay? And since the water is going to be, it's not going to be flat. We want the water to be kind of in motion. So we can hit G, and I have it on the gradient tool because I like to select and then pull away from whatever I'm coloring in and have that be the water. So you can already feel like this is a highlight on the water, okay? And so what we'll do is we can get, once we get closer to the whites of the water, we will add to the whites with this shade of, with this tint of the blue, okay? So you get closer and closer to the blue, and we can even go in here and add more white to this. But this will allow us, we can say where we want to have the highlights, where we want to have it be a little darker. Okay, here, here, and here. We want this to kind of flow, so make your highlights a little bit bigger as you go closer to the foreground. Okay, and there, we've got the simplest version of water you can make, okay? Now, what can make this even better is if we go in here and we go to Mikey's layer, because he's got this on his foot. So what I will do is I'm going to select around that area of Mikey. I'm going to select, I'm going to inverse my selection so that I draw within this area only, okay? So if I put black in here, it's only going to go inside the selection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to not have an outline of white, okay? So we're going to change that to this, and we're going to get rid of the whites, or the black outline that I have on Mikey's foot, which I'm going to have to deselect this so that we don't get the other colors of Michelangelo. Alright, good. And we'll just go along all this. So if you can't see it, what I'm doing is I am selecting the black of this shape and removing the black from it by simply painting over it. So when we had our picture, which there's a little bit of that blue right there that I'm going to need to fix. Okay, got that. Whoops. So there you go. The majority of that is gone. Okay. And we'll go back down here to our water. And you can be a little more separatisty. The separatists. You can put all these different shades on a separate layer. I like to just get a little chaotic with it. And even some of these highlights can sometimes connect. Oops. Okay, since Mikey is... But why do I keep doing that? Since Mikey is putting his foot inside this highlighted bit of water, I'm going to make this a little bit more prominent. I like this highlight of blue here. There we go. There we go. And we can make a little bit more of a splash over here. So just be real kind of hairy with your, real jaggedy, real jagged like, but you want them to go, if the water is flowing sideways this way, we want the water to, we want the spikes of our little highlight here to show up that way. So we can even get some in here, but we want our zigzags to go this way. If our zigzags go this way, then it looks like it's going up, see? And we don't want that. That looks different. So our flow, you have to literally make the water flow because it's one big body of something, okay? All right, and probably won't go there. Oop, nope. All right, so we got this. Now we can go in and do some white, okay? Since we can, this will add to Mikey's splash, okay? And it can go here as well. We'll put it in between. You can have this go off because sometimes this can act as, it may kind of look like ice at some points too, but I'll show you how we can fix that also. So it can kind of look like ice sometimes, but it doesn't have to look that way if we do something else here. Okay. Isn't this more fun than just typing something into a computer or website and saying, hey, make this, make good picture, computer. Doesn't it? Feels much better. Do this part. Okay, so this is the highlighted area in the middle of all this, okay? Again, we're still just putting bits of light in here, and it doesn't have to go everywhere. You can get it in the thicker spots. You can get it out here on the big spots like this, okay? Now we can go in. I think that's plenty to show light, okay? So what we can do now is I'm gonna go ahead and get the brush back out, and I'm gonna select this darker color because I don't want the water to be flat along the edge here. So I'm going to go in here, select this, and we're going to go to lighten. So that's not going to affect anything but stuff that is darker than, it's only going to affect things that are darker than this blue. Okay. Now we can go in here, select that one, and it's only going to affect things that are darker than that shade of blue. See? Ain't that something? Ain't that something? So now we've got a little bit of water. Now what we can do this time is we can, since the water is flowy, you can kind of fiddle with shades. So if Mikey is here, we could put a reflection of him down there, which could be kind of cool, but looks like we're going to have to figure out a way to hide the turtle's legs somehow. Maybe we put a bigger splash right here. We could do that. Let's see what that looks like. So we have a much more prominent water that goes back here. that gives us a reason to stop having legs here for Raph. That also means we got to put in a couple more highlighted spots, like so. Okay, maybe that's too much. Since the water flow is kind of changed back here. Water's very chaotic, so you can have it flow around like that. Now, here's what I wanted to do. We're going to take this color and we're going to turn it down a tad. Let's see what that looks like. That's not quite dark enough. That might be too dark. Let's go back to this. I'm going to turn this shade down. You're not going to be able to see this, but if you double click on this window, on that color, if you double click over here in your color area, it'll bring up another window for a color picker. Okay. And what this will do is we're going to make even darker shades within the darkest shades, okay, even down here. And sometimes these can be really thin, so you want to try and keep them as much as you can in between the shades that you got here, okay. Since Raph is going to be kind of, he's going to give off a kind of a shadow over the water, we can have his foot, or what would be the shades of his body, kind of being down underneath the water, so you can vaguely see a shape. Okay, get that in there. Now, if there's a different technique, I was never taught how to draw water. I was taught how to see I can make water from a reference. You know, if you're drawing a lake, sometimes a lake can have a lot of black in it. So there you go. You got a little bit of that. We can make that go darker. Let's make that a bit more dark. There we go. Now we've even got more darkness in there, and that is watery. Very watery. And sometimes we can even go in here and we can make more connections with some of this stuff. We can turn this and make that go brighter, like that. Okay, and we'll change this to lighten so we don't lose our whites. Just get in some random highlight spots like this. Wait up there, I didn't like that one. You know, and then there's a little bumpy spot there. But there you go. We've got a little bit of water. Okay. And we can take this water. I'm clicking, you can't see these windows again, but I can take this water and I can colorize it to make it, I can make it really blue. I can lighten it to make it like almost like seawater. We can darken it enough, except that white's going to show of Mikey's. but we can also change it to be green. We can make it brown water. We can desaturate it to make it dirty. You know, can make it more rainwater looking, red, but we can also make it purple. But that's pretty good, but I like it like this. Now we can just see that it's water. Okay, then we can add a second layer that would be random bits. I'm going to go ahead and make the rest of this in a kind of black. There you go, see? And we can put different pipes and stuff in here too, you know, at some point. I just made this one so Mikey could have something to stand on. We can make this go out. We can make it go down under the water. But yeah, so now we've got this, and this just makes it more evident that we need to put some kind of darkness behind Raph's head here. So anyway, I'm not going to make that 100% dark right now. I'm going to put a, let's see, I'm going to put this layer right behind here, and we'll make that dark, okay, but we'll lighten that up enough. Okay, so we can still see our stuff if we want to, but we can also turn that off and put those things in there. So we're almost there, but here's the one little tiny fun thing that I like to do. We can put this, and this will be splash, S-P-L-A-S-H. Okay, so this will be little tiny bits of water that can almost look like spit. They can just be random round shapes. Again, I like to use the lasso tool. Well, here, let's do it like this. You can come in here and you can make these, whenever water gets splashy like this, you don't see a lot of blue, but more white. And we can, maybe this is a better way to do it. Okay. This, oh, that's behind everybody. We'll leave that off there for right now. Whenever we flatten it, we can add more splash. But anyway, what this does is you can go in here and you can make little splash bits. Okay, so it's just water splashing up everywhere, and sometimes it's easy just to use the lasso tool because you can get real random with stuff. You kind of, this is kind of the happy accident thing that can happen, you know, and that can add to your picture. It gives it a little more chaos to kind of surround. Gives it a little splash effect to it. And you can, you know, get real wild with stuff. You can go in and you can actually turn this into dissolve. Turn down the hardness. No, maybe not that. No, that's probably a better way to do it. I haven't done it for a while. Anyway, you can get kind of real spot, and you want to put a lot in here, you know. Put some up here. Put it down here like this. Lots of splashings. Once we get it over Mikey's leg. Just kind of splash. See how the water's kind of chaotic like that? And you can just keep putting in these things like this. Look, you can just take them away. All it is just adds a little bit of action to it. See? Cool, right? Yeah. Yeah. And even over here on Raph's end, we can have some water splashing into him. Since you've already got that layer there, you can just put a lot of these kind of squiggles. Maybe not there. But we don't have anything around Raph that would denote that he's got water splashing around him. But you can do this, and then you can even, let's say we want to put some up here in the foreground. We can get real crazy and kind of just get a lot of water around Mikey's foot, around up in here. Some that will even go up in front of stuff like this. Just more water. At some point, we might throw some of that around once we get we'll just delete that layer. Once we get it all flattened out, kind of, we can put some stuff in the foreground, right? So let's get rid of these things up here because I don't know if I want those. That one doesn't look very good. And see, we can still just get rid of stuff as we want it. But water splashes around like that, you know what I'm saying? So I was trying to say that you can go in here and you can put in kind of, I'm going to do that. We want the opacity to be down enough to where it's really, no, maybe that's not it. Oh, yeah, and then you can even get these brushes that are like literally, there's good splash brushes that you can get that'd be like, yeah, I downloaded these. There's something called watercolor splatters. So they'd be like, they're called like dried blood and things. So you can make these splashes of stuff, real sporadic looking. Not too much, but you get the idea. See, just little additions. It's really kind of cool. I could sit here all day and make splashes. And we can turn them. You can even go in and do an overlay of color to get even more splashy. So, just something fun you can do with your warders. Anywho, so we got the water in there. We got Raphael done. We need to expand this pipe for Mikey. So I'm going to take this and let's see if we can just go in here. We need to put some shades on this thing anyway. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this out past the edge of the canvas here and curve that. I'm going to change that to that. We're going to fill the path, and then we are going to stroke the path, but that's going to put the water thing on there. So get that back to B, and go up here to our general brushes, hard round, 3 size, normal. I'm going to change that to something a little higher than that. Stroke that path, and there we go. Be kind of a junction pipe or something. I guess we got to expand it up here too, don't we? Let's go ahead and do that. So what we'll do here, we can do one like this. And I guess we don't have to close that shape. We can exit, we can fill that path, stroke that path. Nope. Stroke the path. There we go. Now it goes all the way up. Okay, cool. So we're getting there. We are getting there even more. And then what we can do next is we can throw in the... Will it take that long to throw in a few eyeballs? Let's just do it. Let's just do it real quick. Throw in a few eyeballs back here where we wanted them. They're back here in the shades. So we got... What did I do on right? Why is that? What's that? Oh, that's just black. Okay. Enough? I don't think we need that. Alright. We got the water. So above the water, we're going to do the foot. So how do we want their eyeballs to look? The foot soldiers generally have kind of Spidey looking eyes, don't they? So let's do this. We're going to make these kind of a golden yellow. Right? Yeah, dog. Yeah, dog. And F it. All we have to do is move them around. Now, we can take these, we can put them anywhere, and we can transform them so that they're not all the same guy. See? We can move him, and we can transform that. We can flip that horizontal. See? Now we got lots of foot soldiers. Take him, and there's 3 of them back here. Maybe that one's a little bigger. J him. Oops. different dudes, right? Now we'll make them a tad bit smaller. Yeah, like that. We're gonna make lots of eyeballs. Watching them from the shadows. Edit and transform. So we got these foot soldiers all around the background here, right? Yeah, that looks cool, huh? Let's see what that does for us that way. Can you see that like that? If I go all filled, getting there, huh? What we need to do is do some levels of silhouettes, huh? So if we can get another layer of black in there, so we got all the eyeballs, right? Maybe we can kind of, then we can go in here and we can do, we'll just do silhouettes, right? We don't need to necessarily see the foot soldiers, just their shadows, right? So we'll do a torso for them, right? Leg. There, let's make this a little simpler. Don't start freaking on me, computer. Okay, and watch this. Let's see, we do this. We're just gonna make super simple. Now we've got them back there. See? Fun, huh? Yeah, this is cool. And this dude's gonna be like this. Sneaking. This, right? Yeah, that's cool. And he'll be kind of with one. Well, we'll have to figure out what we're gonna do back here. But I think I was gonna put a wall back here to begin with. See, I'm liking this a lot. This dude. Shoulder, arm, he's going to be kind of down here drawing one from seeing that'll be his hand. Forearm, shoulder, a little bit more of a waist. Let's make that a little more obvious that that's kind of a nah. bicep. There we go. Sorry, I kind of stopped talking, didn't I? Probably need to put a little bit more detail in these guys, don't I? His arm's going to kind of go off. Going to have these two overlap a little bit. Looks like that hand is going back there. Might have to put these foot soldiers behind the water. We're going to kind of say that this dude has kind of got this leg out here in front. Right? Yeah. Give him a little bit of body armor. guess we'll go this way. There we go. Cool, huh? Yeah, dog. I'd be surprised whenever you're doing silhouettes. You can do plenty and still make them look like they're supposed to. See, now we can do... I want to have these guys be a little more... Let's do a couple more here. I gotta go to bed. We're gonna make these background ones a little more hazy, I think. Let's see what this guy looks like with maybe not quite so dark. Maybe we'll do a CMYK dark on this guy. Let's see what that looks like. At 90. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit different technique here. Kind of put in collarbones and whatnot so I can see him. Whoops. Do we put him behind? Oh, yeah, we gotta put him behind there. We're gonna make that a tad darker. Maybe with a little bit, yeah. Cool. Some of them will be a little more blue. Maybe. Maybe just that guy. We're going to see what he looks like all black. We'll keep him there. Let's keep him there for right now. This is starting to get somewhere, y'all. Starting to look good. Yeah. I think that's going to be good. All right. I think that's good for tonight. That was a longer one. What we will do next time is put in a few more details on this main background area and throw in the hint of the shred dude. But yeah, I think this one looks pretty good. Maybe even throw in a few more shades once we get the whole thing put in. If we think we need to have the turtles be darker, if we need to put in more pipe. We could stand to put in some more piping in the foreground, I think. Maybe even some more in the background to kind of highlight the foot soldiers. A couple of these eyeballs in here I think are a little bigger than what they need to be. Some of them need to be bigger than they are. So let's see what we get next time. CoolDojo.com drawing class. If you want to get one of these t-shirts, it's my Dalsim shirt. Dalsim Yoga. tpublic.com/user/CoolDojoBro. Find more drawing videos on CoolDojo.com and the YouTube channel. And then get a hold of my books, Hercules, Legend of the Labors, and my coloring book, Wizards, Warriors, Mutants, Monsters, Beasts, and Babes. All available, and you can on Amazon.com. Go to CoolDojo.com and just see the hub for everything. That's it for tonight. I'll see you next time.